Retrograde Level 5 Knowledge of Retrograde. In the last video, we talked about brain automation. That optimizes the brain and grows it. And based on that, it's time to build knowledge of the retrograde. So today, I'm going to talk about 5 things that we need to build knowledge about retrograde. I don't think it's hard to get rich when it builds up. In the past, farmers only farmed and blacksmiths only sharpened knives, not thinking about learning other professions. But in modern times, as society becomes more complex and diverse, it is changing into a system where learning and practicing new things gives you enormous wealth. Using this system, the author explains what you need to have to be rich with retrograde knowledge. First, let's practice the giver theory. When people are rewarded by the other person, they give back or reward some of them. People with this tendency are called givers. On the other hand, taker means people who only receive, and matcher means people who only give back as much as they receive. Who gets rich here? You might think it's a taker who just receives and collects, but he could be the poorest or the richest person. Let's see why. The author says that we've seen a lot of cases where successful people have a tendency to give up, and they've had thoughts that go against their instincts. In the meantime, I have met hundreds of people who have become self-made at a young age, but most have spared no money buying meals or expressing gratitude. I have never seen a stingy person around me who gained financial freedom at a young age. I think one of the signals that determines whether a person is doing well or not is whether he or she lives a good meal. This is because the act of buying rice shows whether you have the ability to make judgments that can trade short-term losses and long-term gains. As mentioned earlier in the concave theory, a retrograde person must make a long-term investment even at the expense of short-term losses. It is difficult for a person who can't even buy rice to make such a good judgment. Naturally, the probability of success is very low. There is zero chance that a person who loses popularity to save 20,000 to 30,000 won on his or her meal will make countless life judgments well in the future. In the case of business transactions, the psychology of giving as much as I give to the other person works. However, when you are in giver mode with each other, you are in a state where you can give all my information to help the other person do well. However, be careful because there are cases where you continue to be wrong with the taker. The author tells you to give first to the other person, and then observe whether the other person is giving or not. If you take it for granted that the other person is receiving, quit. And if the other person shows a give mode, you can maintain a good relationship. 2. Let's bet on the odds. Humans tend to think too much about loss rather than gain, which is called loss avoidance bias, as explained in previous videos. The author says that this is just a genetic malfunction, and if the winning rate is over 55, you can overcome the fear of the game and bet. There may be losses at first, but in the long run, you will definitely win the game. The same goes for life. If you have more decision-making power than others, you have a higher chance of making good choices in the hundreds of decisions you have to make in life. You have to make rational decisions to win in the end. That's why I previously emphasized the need to dismantle self-consciousness and optimize your brain. Our genes are set up to be exceptionally sensitive to loss. You have to look back on yourself calmly, so that you don't make wrong decisions because of that kludge. You have to suppress the reptilian and mammal brains with your human brain. This is because life is a series of constant choices and decisions. The author says that as an example of a probability game, he succeeded in reading and writing rather than studying for a job with 22 strategies. This is because he thought 22 strategies had higher expected values than TOEIC, department, and job study. And this includes starting YouTube and getting good ideas while traveling. 3. Taitan's tools. Being in the top 1 in a certain field is possible only when effort is added to a natural talent. But being in the top 20 is possible if anyone tries. The author says that even an average person can win the top 1% if they collect Taitan's tools with 20% skill. Take YouTube as an example with the author's Titan tool. I don't know what YouTube is, I don't know how to design, and I don't know how to shoot. However, just by trying YouTube, you become a YouTuber who only tries the top 1%. And just the act of editing alone will reach one of the entire population who can edit videos. Eventually, I gathered Titan tools called YouTube. This combined with my existing tools to create 2 companies. After publishing this book, I'm thinking of expanding my business to smart stores and manufacturing industries. It's not just to make money. This is because I know that combining new weapons with existing knowledge creates enormous synergy. Other than YouTube, there are many tools from Titan that I can recommend. If we learn and use this well, such as online marketing, design, book production, and programming, we can also be in the top 1. 4. Metacognition. Metacognition refers to the ability to objectively know one's current situation. It may be more important than intelligence, because it is the ability to know one's abilities. Because to acquire metacognition, you need comprehensive abilities, such as high intelligence, self-consciousness, dismantling, overcoming gene malfunctions, trial and error through execution, and analysis. These abilities are no different from the abilities of the retrograde person. We learned in the video. Metacognition is the ability to objectify oneself by taking this range larger. This good self-objectification increases overall decision-making power. Because you know what you are lacking, you try to supplement this part and develop by yourself. To develop metacognition, emphasize reading and execution. Reading clearly tells you what you know and don't, and you must verify that your judgment is correct by implementing the given problem. Executives level and inertia. There is also a level of execution, and most humans are very afraid to try new things because of the instinct of their genes. The author emphasizes that this execution power has freed him from money, time, and success. My belief is that when you figure out how to live a happy life, money automatically follows. The most important thing is execution. What would you do if you gave yourself 20 minutes right now to open a blog and write or upload a video to YouTube? The author says most people don't. 99 out of 100 people are driven by money or by someone's surveillance and punishment. This is because they live only by instinct and genetic instructions. That's why most people cannot escape from normal. They are poor and unhappy. Very few people are active in doing something. That is why people with high execution easily gain economic freedom. From the game of life, real freedom is gained. This 1 out of 100 people is always active. This person does something without being asked to do. Life becomes very easy if this determination and execution are repeated 10 or 100 times to gain inertia. Once momentum is gained, inertia produces repetitive execution. Just as you wake up in the morning to wash your face and wash your hair, execution itself becomes a habit. You think you're heading a little bit towards becoming rich just by watching this video. Eventually, the person who did it and the person who didn't do it will take a completely different path. From the next stage of Retrograde 6, we will talk about how to actually make money. If you continue to practice up to stage 5, you can get closer to the reality of economic freedom. For those of you who watched today's video, it will be a better day than yesterday.